Hello everyone, welcome back to the videos. It is wonderful to have you guys here again as always. Today in this video we're going to keep working on this mess of a car that I keep cutting shit out of. In the last video you saw we got the diff mount cut out of it, removed all the hard lines, and I ended up going and cutting out this wheel well here for a mini tub. I've come back in in that video I sort of cut it there, so I came and I've followed the outer panel. I'm not entirely sure what it's called, but that panel up there where it's white, and I've trimmed it back to that. It still needs a little bit of tidying up. The death wheel doesn't do a very good job of cutting it neatly, but I still got to cut it, trim that up, and I came and cut it further back, got rid of all of that panel there. And I came and trimmed this up a bit nicer. I don't think I'm going to go any further forward with it, just because I need to retain this bolt here for seat belt mounting, I believe that's for. And then there's no point in me recessing the tub in further when this is going to be a restriction for it anyway. But I don't think this is going to be a problem. The tyre's not going to move forward. If it does become a problem, I can just beat this forward a bit. I think, well, not I think, but try and beat this forward a bit to give a little bit more clearance. I was going to try and do a nice flat piece across there, but then that'll mean I've also got to cut this out and replace this panel, and it will also make getting to that seat belt retaining bolt quite difficult. I'm not sure if I'm going to remove the tie down points. I kind of like having them. They're just a good point to strap down to. I am going to trim this. I am going to trim this seam here back flush with the chassis rail here, and I will do it flush to the chassis rail here. The Showtime Customs kit I was looking at, it says you have to recess it 15mm into the chassis rail. I don't want to cut into the chassis rail, so I'll just trim the seam back flush, and then I'll just make an infill panel here for these bits that might need it. Yeah. Since that video, I've gone and come over here and I've cut the other side out. Yeah, I know that one, well, because I cut it out, and two, because if I come over here, you can still see me. And three, I've got now a scrap of steel over there. But yeah, I've gone and cut this out. This one is more of a radius, whereas that side flattens out. So I'm gonna have to try and work around that. I've still got a lot of trimming to come and do in this area. I'll probably trim all of this out and again make it flat, and then I'll probably do the same with this side. I'll just trim it back here so that it butts up and runs flat with this piece, and then comes across there. Yeah, the side skirt comes to there anyway, so that's going to be even further out. But yeah, I'm only trying to squeeze a 275 under this. This really wasn't necessary, but it was also the easiest way to go about getting that tyre in there, so I figured why not. And it also gives me room for a wider tyre if I want to go up to a 295 or a 315 or something, should I choose to go that way. I don't think I'll need any more than a 275 though. But yeah, anyway, my goal today is with a little CAD design. I want to start mocking up for the tubs that are going to go in it. So I'll cut out some cardboard that a friend of mine, Trevor, gave me. Thank you very much for that, Trevor. I appreciate it. So I'll go and cut out a piece of cardboard in about the right sort of shape that I want. I've got a 44-gallon drum there, and I will go and cut my tub out of that once I've got my shape. And then from there it's just a matter of making in all the infill panels. I'll probably need to go and get a sheet of steel for that, so I don't think I'll be able to do any of that today, but I'd like to at least get, you know, at least maybe the tubs tacked in place, not welded, even just tacked in will be enough to keep me happy. And then next video or something we can start making infill panels and then weld it all in there and seam seal it and call it done. Still waiting for bits for the 9-inch stuff to come in so I can start mocking that up. I think a friend of mine has a pair of tyres that I can borrow, so I'll go and mount those to the wheels and make up a dummy axle, just so that I can check the fitment, especially with the tub. I'd like to get the fitment in there with the tub so then I know exactly what sort of room I've got to work with. Yeah, once I get all that and get those measurements, it's all full steam ahead with that. We can cut the axle tubes down, weld the bearings on, and all the bracketry and all that sort of good stuff, and start getting the 4-link brackets made up as well. Alright, anyway, I'm gonna trim back these rails in these spots that I wanted to trim back. Thinking about it, I don't think I'll bother trimming that back anymore. The tub's probably not going to come that far back. It might stop around here somewhere, I would assume, and then it'll be a matter of making in infill panels to fill in all the blanks. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to start cutting out some seams and some cardboard and try and get some sort of a tub into this thing. So that's sort of like a really rough shape of what the tub should look like. And if we stick it up in here, that is gonna be pretty bloody close. Almost bang on, I reckon. Alright, I guess I'll cut it out of metal and sort of tack it in, bend it up, tack it in, bend it up, tack until I get it to a spot where I'm happy with it. Alright, so I trimmed out my piece of drum. Let's see if I can tack it in place. Okay, well, that's where I'm going to end in this video. I've quickly run out of time by the time I had a few distractions and lunch and all the rest of the nonsense. That's all the time I got. I really need to get a better MIG. I've had this one for a very long time. It used to work well, but the gas portion side of it doesn't work anymore, so I'm just running it with some flux in there, and everyone knows what flux is like to deal with. It's not fun, so basically I had to just zap it in there with flux, so it looks really ugly. A couple tiny little holes, I'll fill them up, but it is tacked in there for the most part, all the way around. I did notice right there, it is hitting the bonnet, not the bonnet, the boot hinge, right there. So I guess when I make the sheet side, I will just try and pull it down away from it a little bit. It's only just resting on it. It's not a very big concern of mine. But yeah, I'm gonna have to make a patch panel for there and across there, and then of course across the side, and looks like one little strip there or something. I don't know. Next job I want to do, I'll come in during the week. I think I've got a couple of days spare. I will finish cutting this side out to match that, and then I'll cut and shape the tub for it. It should be pretty easy compared to the other side. This side is just basically a semicircle, so I'll just run it up and over, and then in the next video I want to go and sheet all the little bits and pieces in I need to. I have seen people, they will bring the tub down to here, which I may do. I may cut those tacks off, trim the bottom off and butt it down sooner. I'm not too concerned as yet. I'm not really worried about that because it only just touches it. Knowing me though, I'll end up doing that. So when I'm cutting the other side out, I'll come and trim off these few tacks, probably back to that one, and then I'll just trim a couple inches off the bottom, and I'll just run it down further. That'll pull it down away from the boot hinge. It'll just mean I need to make like a fairly wide patch panel to go into there, and then a bit more of one at the back. But I quickly swung a tape measure around in here. It looks like I've got plenty of room for a 275 and maybe just enough for a 29. Well, no, there'll be enough room for 295, just enough for a 315, but I don't think I'll ever want that wide of a tyre. 275 will be more than enough, so I'll get the wheel and tyre offset so that a 275 will sort of sit 10mm back from this lip, and then should I ever go to a larger tyre, we can recess the wheel in a bit more, give it a bit more backspace, and go for a slightly larger tyre. But I don't want any bigger than a 275. It should be more than enough. People are going really fast on a 275, so probably just stick with that. Anyway, yeah, that's going to be about it from me in this video. Pretty happy with the progress. Now has a wheel tub back in. I'm starting to get a bit stressed from from cutting everything out and not putting stuff back in, but yeah, it's starting to resemble a car again. And of course this will all get cleaned and painted and all the rest of it. Not as neat as a lot of workshops probably would have done, but it will do the job. I did have trouble trying to get it to be flush with this seam. It did want to land further forward, so I just tacked it in a few spots and pushed it out, which is why there's this bit of a crease there. But that's more of an aesthetic thing than anything, and aesthetics really don't bother me much. But yeah, that'll give me a nice easy way to template that with card, and then cut it out in some sheet steel, and then just fill in all the blanks. I'll probably go around and stitch weld it in a bit better, even though it's very solid as it is, and then we'll run a bead of seam seal around all the joints. We'll clean all of this off and give the whole thing a nice fresh coat of black, and it should look fairly factory. Yeah, anyway, it's going to be it from me in this video. It's getting late in the afternoon now. I gotta get inside, I'll get this video edited and get ready for dinner, and get dinner ready as well, of course. Yeah, the ute should start pretty soon, so I'll get that project underway fairly soon. I do have to build turbo manifolds off it first, so I'll get that done. And it looks like a friend and I have a what do you call it? Cool little build coming up. Should be a fun little thing, but I'll get onto that when we get to it. Anyway, don't forget, unleash the coolant, CO2 the world, and I will see you guys in the next video. Not a lot of progress, I know, but it's still something at least. Anyway, I'll see you then. Bye bye.
Banzai.